It all began with a seemingly offhand remark, one that sparked uproar among several of YouTube's biggest creators. Tana Mojo, known for her candid storytelling, revealed she felt unsafe while filming Joey Graceffa's Escape the Night. She claimed she'd been stationed in a meat freezer, chained up for a scene, and left with a scare actor who made disturbing comments, most notably telling her that having her tied up was his dream. Tana said she feared for her safety and even injured her pinky finger when the actor allegedly yanked her hand too hard. From Tana's perspective, no one on set gave her injuries or concerns the seriousness they deserved. Worse, she felt everyone shrugged it off, implying, "It's just Tana being dramatic." Fans of Tana rallied behind her, condemning anyone who would ignore a cast member's discomfort. Yet critics questioned whether Tana was inflating the story for clicks, especially since she often leverages sensational anecdotes in her content. Joey Graceffa responded to these claims on Just Trish, a podcast hosted by Trisha Paytas. Rather than fully validate Tana's fears, he expressed skepticism about how badly she was hurt. He mentioned not seeing evidence of a broken bone and admitted he was playful in how he dismissed her injuries. He also said he apologized and offered Tana flowers, hoping to clear the air. But Tana took offense, feeling Joey's tone trivialized her account. Shortly after, she vented on her own podcast, Canceled, accusing him of failing to treat her ordeal with respect. Then came Rosanna Pansino's intervention. Known for her baking videos and wholesome presence, Rosanna had been part of the same Escape the Night production. Tana had previously referenced a cast member who confided about smoking a plant grown with her father's ashes. Though Tana didn't explicitly name Rosanna at first, fans connected the dots. What Tana portrayed as bizarre and off-putting, Rosanna saw as a deeply personal way of honoring her late dad. When she realized Tana had discussed it with a comedic spin on multiple podcasts, Rosanna took issue. Feeling targeted and misrepresented, she released her own podcast, calling out Tana's story as inaccurate. Rosanna insisted Tana wasn't some last-minute hero stepping in as a favor to Joey. In fact, she said Tana had months to prepare. She also disputed the idea that Tana was ever truly locked up, explaining that the chains on set were designed with large loops that could be slipped off without help. Rosanna described Tana as working far fewer hours than most cast members, while complaining more than anyone else. Though Rosanna acknowledged Tana's unease if someone really did say something inappropriate, she found it hard to believe Tana's account when other details seemed exaggerated. Rosanna also felt betrayed by Tana's retelling of the Ashes story. On set, Tana apparently called it a slay, even suggesting she might do something similar one day. Hearing it later framed as a laughable anecdote hurt Rosanna, who considered it a deeply personal family matter. She noted that Tana's broadcast version minimized her feelings and mocked a private conversation. This, in Rosanna's eyes, wasn't just another Tana meltdown. It was an attempt to make the entire production sound creepy and dysfunctional. Many fans applauded Rosanna for defending herself. They believed Tana's dramatic style opened the door for half-truths, and Rosanna deserved to set the record straight. Others said Rosanna should have focused only on clarifying her own situation, rather than dismantling Tana's broader complaints. If Tana truly felt menaced by the scare actor, it shouldn't matter whether the chains were real or if Tana was prone to embellishment. To them, Rosanna's rebuttal sounded like victim blaming, since it questioned Tana's credibility rather than addressing how a cast member ended up feeling terrified in the first place. Tana's supporters argued that the real issue was the dismissive, "it's just Tana" attitude. They pointed to other times Tana's grievances had been scoffed at, only to be validated later. If Tana has a habit of exaggeration, that doesn't mean she can't experience genuine fear or injury. Joey and Rosanna, they claimed, missed that point by focusing on the chain setup and whether Tana was physically able to exit the scene. For Tana's defenders, what mattered was her subjective sense of being trapped, especially if she heard a chilling remark from the person behind the mask. Meanwhile, observers questioned why Tana, Joey, and Rosanna couldn't resolve the matter privately. Joey tried to smooth things over, telling Tana he would send flowers and apologizing for joking about her complaints. Tana, however, appeared unconvinced, concluding that Joey simply didn't take her alarm seriously enough. As for Rosanna, her relationship with Tana, once seemingly friendly, appeared to sour overnight. Rosanna publicly said that Tana flipped from mocking her to calling her a slay, which she saw as a weak attempt to dial back negative public sentiment. Fans wrestled with how to reconcile Tana's self-proclaimed authenticity with Rosanna's claims of exaggeration. Rosanna made the point that Tana's retellings often shift. On set, Tana might have seemed fine with something, yet she'd repackage it as disturbing to create a dramatic story later on. Tana's brand hinges on shock value, so critics suspect she may amplify certain details. But even those who doubt Tana's recollection of the chain situation think it's possible she genuinely felt unsafe for reasons that had nothing to do with literal restraints. Joey Graceffa found himself in an awkward position throughout. By default, the blame for production issues lands on whoever is in charge. If Tana's concerns were justified, Joey might be responsible for failing to protect a cast member. If Tana was blowing things out of proportion, then Joey was at risk of looking heartless for not handling her claims more tactfully. Publicly, he walked a tightrope, saying he respected Tana's feelings but couldn't align with everything she described. He emphasized that the production crew addressed concerns as they arose, though the details remain murky to outside viewers. What began as a single comment spiraled into a sprawling conflict, spotlighting the complications of YouTube-based productions. Elaborate sets and horror themes can blur lines between theatrical scares and genuine unease, especially when cast members lack clear channels to voice discomfort. It also brought up the question of how to parse fact from embellishment in Tana's stories. She might inflate details for entertainment, yet still harbor authentic fear. Rosanna's response highlighted the toll of having a private family matter become comedic fodder, while Joey's neutral stance raised doubts about whether he fully grasped Tana's alarm. In the midst of finger-pointing, Rosanna's anger over Tana's mention of her father's ashes resonated with those who've experienced personal loss. Many felt Tana crossed a line by mocking or trivializing how Rosanna chose to honor her dad. Tana's fans retorted that she never judged Rosanna's grief, only that it startled her to hear something so heavy in an already tense environment. That clash revealed how easily personal issues can be twisted when comedic spin collides with private grief. Now, the question is whether Tana and Rosanna can find closure, or if Joey will step in to mediate. Some think the storm will fade naturally as future controversies emerge to dominate YouTube's fast-paced news cycle. Others believe the wounds here run too deep to vanish on their own. Tana appears resolute in defending her version of events, while Rosanna feels Tana disrespected a sacred memory and skewed facts about the show. Joey, caught in the crossfire, maintains a cordial front but likely faces backstage friction trying to repair trust with both women. Ultimately, this feud is a cautionary tale about the fine line between personal storytelling and misrepresentation. Tana's longtime complaint is that people never take her seriously. Rosanna insists that if Tana told fewer half-truths, she'd be more credible. Joey strives to bridge the gap, apologizing while also questioning Tana's most alarming claims. In a social media realm driven by big personalities, it's easy for genuine anguish to be overshadowed by spectacle. The entire episode underscores why private conversations can be more productive than public flame wars. Instead of working out their issues quietly, all three escalated the conflict, drawing fans into a he said, she said dynamic. Some see Tana as a victim of negligence. Others label her a chronic exaggerator who wounded Rosanna by mocking her grief. The truth may sit somewhere in the middle, but it's difficult to find when passions run high. Yet, in the broader scheme, this dispute reflects a growing tension in the YouTube community, where creators often blur the boundaries between theatrical storytelling and genuine revelations. Tana's predicament showcases how fear can be amplified by an influencer's reputation, leading fans to wonder whether her distress was overlooked. Meanwhile, Rosanna's frustration highlights the vulnerability that comes with sharing personal grief and how easily a heartfelt confession can be recast as comedic material. As for Joey, balancing friendships, show reputations, and public opinion proves daunting when every statement is dissected online. Each party grapples with the weight of past experiences and perceived slights, creating a perfect storm of mistrust. Whether they choose to hash things out privately or let the drama fade, this saga exposes how delicate trust can be in an environment fueled by attention and viral content. At its core, the Tana versus Rosanna controversy underscores a universal theme. People's stories, even when colored by exaggeration or confusion, often have some kernel of truth. Dismissing them outright can breed deeper resentment, while extreme defensiveness can look like invalidation of honest concerns. The precarious balance between empathy and skepticism sits at the heart of this feud, prompting viewers to consider the ways in which social platforms magnify disagreements. Until genuine dialogues replace public callouts, these high-profile quarrels will continue to reshape alliances and churn out endless speculation, reminding everyone that, when personal wounds collide with public spectacle, resolution is rarely simple or swift.